Howdy, this is PaleRider, and I'm back with another tutorial in my series on EnderIO. And today I want to show you how to use the conduit system. The conduits are EnderIO's piping system. They come in 5 different varieties, or 5 different kinds. I have them here in my inventory right now. You have redstone conduits, energy conduits, fluid conduits, item conduits, and one that I don't have in my inventory, which is over here, ME conduits. The ME conduits I'll let you figure out yourself because I've never used ME system. I'm not even sure, but I think that's applied energistics too. Yeah, see, that's how much I know about that. But I'm pretty sure it works pretty much like the item conduits, so you shouldn't have too much problem if you know how to use the rest of the conduits. So let me jump right into it. All right, let me start by showing you the user interface. You can access the user interface by pointing right at the connector that connects the conduits to another item, and then right click and you'll come up with this user interface. You'll have different tabs depending on which type of conduits that you're using. This one is the item conduits and fluid conduits, redstone, and energy. As you can see, the energy and the redstone are pretty basic. They don't show you your inventory or anything, or they don't have extra filters, things like that. I'll get into a lot of these advanced features a little later, but for now let me just show you that all of them have this mode button. In out, which is input output, extract, which is output, insert, which is input, and disable. And they also have your redstone mode button, always active, active with a signal, active without a signal, never active. And they have this, or most of them have the signal color. That means that you can, especially, or I'm pretty sure it's based on the redstone itself. Your redstone lines, if you're using the upper tier redstone insulated conduit, you can have up to 16 different lines, different circuits, doing, different things in your system, all hooked up together. And each one of them will have their own separate color, the 16 main Minecraft colors. Besides that, we have some advanced features here. Like I said, I'll get to those in just a little while. Now, one of the best features about the EnderIO conduits is this. This is all 4 different types of conduits, all within the same block. You don't have piping coming off of all different sides of your machine. They can all go in from one side, or even better, from the bottom. They can't be seen. You can run them all in the same line, and it saves a lot of space and looks a hell of a lot better. Now for the different types of conduits, the different tiers of each different type. Starting with the redstone conduits. These are a little bit different than the other ones. They do have one major bug in them. I consider it a bug. Maybe you might not, but I'll show you that too in a second. First of all, we have just 2 tiers. You have the regular redstone conduit and you have an insulated redstone conduit. The main difference between these two are the redstone conduit only will handle one circuit. And the insulated will handle all 16 circuits, one for each color of in Minecraft. The redstone conduit is basically just like laying down redstone dust. It doesn't have any connector, but you give it power and it turns on or off any redstone item. They also have this conduit switch, and I haven't tried it. Oh yeah, I guess it does work. Conduit switch, which generates its own redstone signal, and you turn it off and on by right-clicking on one of these little squares on the side of it. Oop. The bug that I found, I'll show you right now. I can duplicate it happening by running a redstone, the insulated conduit, and it disconnects itself like that. Okay, wait. Show this again. It has the flange on here, the connector, and when I take the signal away, it disconnects. If I put the torch back down, it'll reconnect, but if I put other sources like a switch, it won't reconnect. You see that the power is going through, but it's not reaching the light for some reason. You can fix that, which I haven't really got into this Yeti wrench yet, but you can right click on the, you have to get right on the tip of the conduit and right click on it, and it'll force the connector into the item. But that doesn't always work, because sometimes if you go out of the chunk and come back, it won't be there again. And if you have it set up in a like a earth spawner, where you need light on it for things not to spawn, and you go out of the chunk and come back in, everything's going to be spawning because the connector disconnected itself, which really sucks. All right, next we have the energy conduits, which come in 3 different tiers, all the way from the lowest tier. The only difference between these are the amount of RF per tick. The lowest tier is 640 RF per tick. The middle one is 5,120 RF per tick, and the top tier is 20,480. So they're all basically the same. Let me double check this real quick. Yeah, it has the exact same user interface. This is the lowest tier, and this one over here is the highest tier, and it has exactly the same user interface. So it works exactly the same, just the RF is different. The next type of conduit is the fluid conduit, which works a little different than the others. The different tiers not only have different amounts per tick. The lowest tier is 200 millibuckets per tick. Middle one's 400, and the upper tier is 800. But not only that, the lowest tier has to have a gravity force running the liquids, or they won't work. For example, if I hook this to here, it's at the bottom of it, and I actually have to set it to output, and no redstone signal. It'll automatically start flowing into these tanks. And try it from here. Wait, first let me put some water in here and try it from the top, and do the same thing. Go into here, set it to output, and redstone mode always on. And that should not work. All right, I'm back, and something weird is going on with these, and I have no idea. I might be doing something wrong, or this might just be a bug, but if you shift on this conduit. It says fluid flow respects gravity. Okay, this is the lowest tier fluid conduit. Fluid flow respects gravity. Does this look like it's respecting gravity? It's coming out from the top of this one and going in from the bottom of these. That is not respecting gravity at all. So moving along. All right, I'm back, and now let's look at the upper tier fluid conduit. I have two different types of fluids here. I have nutrient distillation in that one and water in this one, and I want them to go into these two tanks. If I just hook it up like this and turn it on, whatever fluid I turn on first is going to go into both tanks. So if you want to separate them, this is really cool thing about the upper tier conduits is, okay, you leave it on input output. This is the way I found out to do it. Leave it on input output and go to insert here, and you put the type of fluid you want to go into that tank in here. You have a whitelist and a blacklist. You want to whitelist it in the filter and go to this one and do the same thing. Input output, insert, and then I'll put water in this one. So this is going to cross over. It's going to go through the same tube and it's going to cross over. Let me turn on the water first. In this case, you go to extract and always active. It automatically starts going into the one that I put the filter on and not in the one that has the filter for the other liquid. Now I turn this one on, go to extract and always active. And oh, did I do something wrong? All right, I'm back, and there is some bugs. I don't know what's going on with this mod today. There are some bugs. All I did was switch these around to lava. I did have the nutrient distillation in them, and that wasn't working. I switched it to lava, and it works fine. I did exactly the same thing. I went into this connector. There we go. And set it for input output. Went to insert and put lava in there. Went to here, put it on extract, and signal always active here. And that was it. Exactly what I did before, and it's working. I have no clue what's up with these freaking bugs in this, but yeah, that's irritating. But this is the coolest feature of the EnderIO conduits, is that you can run multiple things through the same tube, and liquids you wouldn't think. Fire and water running through the same tube, going to different locations. So that is a really cool feature. It really sucks that it didn't work the first time. But yeah. Okay, moving along. And finally we get to the item conduits. The item conduits are for transporting items from one location to another through machines, through chests, whatever. So let me just show you real quick. If I put this copper in here, as it smelts, it'll automatically, I got it rigged up through here, and it goes into this chest, then to that one, and it zigzags through this set of chests. It'll go to the first one that it can find, which is this first, it goes there, there, there. So this is the first one it can find. It'll go right into there. That's without any filters at all. On these other ones, I actually have filters set up on them. So I'm going to come from the other direction now. Ignore this first one for a minute. Okay. It's the green tubing going that way. It goes to this chest first, then to that one, then that, then that. and that, and then that. This first one, if I go to the connector, I have a bow in here, and I have a basic item filter. This one makes it so that you can filter things in here. It'll only things that are in these 5 slots will go into this chest. You have an option to ignore metadata or match metadata. The reason why I put a bow in here, because the metadata actually shows the amount of durability left on an item. So if I ignore metadata, it's going to put any bow of any durability into that chest. Without that on, it'll only put in bows that have 25 out of 384 durability. So yeah, if you don't want just those bows, you ignore metadata, and it'll put all of those in. The advanced item filter not only has metadata, it also has the NBT data, which are things like, here, if you look, let me see, I put some wool in here. If you look at this wool, the data on it, the data item number is 35. And the :4 is the color. :1, :2, :3, and no colon at all on that one. So if you just put in a piece of wool here and don't mess with any of these, it'll only put that white wool in there. If you click on ignore metadata, it'll put any kind of wool in there, any color of wool at all. It also has this ore dictionary, which I'm not going to do that right now. I don't have it set up for that, but I'm pretty sure if you have thermal expansion ore and like Tinker's ore and Railcraft ore and all these different ores, if you click on that, it'll put all the ores of that type into the same location. You also have this sticky mode. Let's see, select items will only be sent to this or other sticky outputs. So it'll automatically go to the items that are sent through will only go to the ones that you have this enabled on. All right, so, okay, the next filter is existing item filter. That, and it also still has the same buttons, the metadata or dictionary, MBT, and the sticky. It also has a snapshot. Okay, what you do with this, whatever item is already in the chest, it'll only put those items in. Let me go back here again. If you set a snapshot at any given time, say you have only certain items in here, you hit the snapshot, and it'll only put those items that were in there at that time. That means if you put more items in that chest later, it won't. If you manually put them in, it won't filter them in through the system. You'd have to re-hit the snapshot or hit merge, and it will automatically put all of them in. It might be a little confusing, but just play around with it. You'll figure it out. If you notice here, okay, the next one down, I put a mod item filter in. So this one, let me go back into the chest. If you notice, I have an EnderIO helmet in here, and I just want all my helmets to go into this thing, no matter what mod pack they're in, or what mod they're in. You put this chest first with the existing item filter, then after that item, you put or after that chest, you put a mod-specific item filter with EnderIO. That way, all your helmets will go into there, whether they're EnderIO or not, and then all other EnderIO stuff will go into this chest. I also, if you notice, there's more than one slot here. There's 3 different slots, so you can put up to 3 different mods in the same chest. I set it up on this one to have thermal expansion and thermal foundation, since they're basically the same mod, to go into here. You can put different mods if you want, 3 different mods, completely different mods if you want, or put ones that are related to each other like that. Okay, now that I have that all set up, also I have one other chest here. It has no item filters at all, so any excess data that doesn't match any of the filters that I have here will go into that last chest. And just to make sure, let me grab something that is unrelated to any of those and throw it in here so you can see that. Okay, let me connect this. Oh, come on. There we go. That work? Oh, let me set this to extract, always on, and it should start working now. And why isn't... Oh, what happened here? Huh. For some reason the connection's messed up right there. That's the stupid wrench. There we go. Now it should work. Okay, yeah, now everything's coming out. Should be faster than that. Oh, okay. I'll explain those in a second. Yeah, see how much faster it is? I guess I could explain those now. That is the speed upgrades. You have a speed upgrade and a speed downgrade. It'll take up to 15, depending on, it'll increase the speed by 4 items per extraction, up to 15, which 15 will give you 60 per extraction. So it makes it a lot faster. Okay, so now all my bows went into there. All my wool went into there. All my helmets went into there. All the other EnderIO stuff went into there. And all my thermal expansion and thermal foundation stuff went into there. And anything, any overflow went into there. Oh, I did have extra stuff in here. So yeah, all the overflow went into there. So it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Luckily, I haven't had a lot of luck lately with things doing what they're supposed to do. So, okay, the last item that I want to show you is this chargeable item filter. I rigged this little thing up to show you this. The capacitor banks have charging slots in them. So what I did is I threw the item conduit. I have it going into this chest first with the chargeable item filter here. I have it set that if charged items are anything that holds RF, like say this staff of traveling right here, it has no RF in it at all. So what happens is if it goes through here and the charge on it is less than 75%, you can set this to anything you want. You can set these to greater than, equal to, greater than, less than, or less than, equal to, excuse me. I'm going to set it at less than 75%. So if the charge on here, which it is, it's less than 75%, it's actually 0%, it'll automatically go into this chest. From that chest, it'll automatically go into this charging system. And then on this, I hooked up another one of these item charger things that says when it equals 100, then it's going to extract it. So let me just throw it in this chest right here and go over here. And it goes in there. Now watch it. It's going up, gets to 100% and it pulls it out. And it should have put it in the EnderIO chest, which is right there, fully charged. All right, there's still a few items that are worth mentioning while we're talking about the conduit system, because they do tie into it. And they're the fluid tanks, the reservoir, dimensional transceiver, and I want to show you a little bit more about the Yeta wrench. So first we have the fluid tanks. In EnderIO there are two different types of fluid tanks, a regular tank and the pressurized fluid tank. There's two major differences in these, and the main obvious one is that the pressurized one is blast resistant. The other difference is the regular fluid tank holds 16,000 millibuckets of fluid, which is exactly 16 buckets of fluid, and the pressurized one holds 32,000, which is 32 buckets. And they work just like any other types of tanks, except they're not as stackable as some other tanks. If you stack these thermal expansion tanks right on top of each other, they're pretty easy to tie into each other. If you use the tanks from Buildcraft, they're the exact same size. They hold the exact same amount as this one, 16,000 millibuckets, and they just connect together. And then there's also the extra utilities tanks, which are kind of like these capacitor banks that when you hook them together, they form one big giant tank. And there's also the tanks in Railcraft. I think it's Railcraft, the iron tanks, which you can just make them huge. You know, these are just one size. They're stackable, but then you have to go into the interface and tell it which direction you want it to flow. Like, say you want it to go down here, have this one go into there. See, now this one will go into that one. But that one's not going into that one unless you go in here and click on the bottom and tell it to push it into the next chest or to the next tank. You can do that as high as you want, as wide as you want, or whatever, just so you tell it which direction you want it to flow. You can tie in the conduits to it, just so you like I said, just so you tell it which direction you want it to flow. Have it come out of this one. Oh, I need to turn the redstone always on, and whoop. Oh, it automatically went because this one's in input-output mode. Yeah. All right. So that's basically it with the fluid tanks. Next, we have the reservoir. Reservoir is a infinite water source. You have to have 4 of these. See how once I put the 4th one in, they hook together, and you put in 2 buckets of water, and then it'll fill itself all the way up. And now you have an infinite water source. Cool thing about this infinite water source is you can hook EnderIO pipes right up to it. Let's say you want it to go into the vat. Extract, signal always on, and it should automatically go into there. And it will replenish itself, just like any infinite water source. So that's really cool. I also use it, I try to put one of these in all my bases for filling up bottles for potions, or filling up igneous extruders, things like that. So it's always good to have that. And finally, let me show you a few more things about the Yeta wrench. The Yeta wrench is pretty much the same as the crescent hammer from thermal expansion. It'll interact with all the same machines and piping systems and conduits as the crescent hammer. Like say you shift right click on this alloy smelter and it pops off. There are a few EnderIO specific things that you can do with it, like if you right click on a pipe, it will give you a connector coming out of that side. If you right click, say on the top of that one, well, I lost that side. The top pops up, and take it off. You have to get it just right though to get it to work right. Sometimes it gets a little funky and doesn't want to cooperate, or maybe I just don't know exactly what the hell I'm doing, which is more likely. So let's say oh, I lost a bunch of pipes here. I will be right back after I fix my mess. All right. Yeah, I actually fixed that with the wrench, which that is really hard for me. I'm very uncoordinated, and I usually would just screw it and break it all and relay the pipe. So I got that done. Okay, one of the cool things about this is if you use, oh, they're there, these conduit facades, or facets as I like to call them. When you hold the wrench in your hand, you could still interact with your conduits. Say I want a connector coming off right there again. And let's see if I can do it without screwing things up. Hey, I got an alloy smelter. Let's throw that right there. Woohoo! And put the wrench in your hand. And you can still interact with the connector. That is really cool. The one thing that you can do with the Yeta wrench that you cannot do with the thermal expansion crescent hammer is that if you hold the wrench and shift and use your mouse wheel, you can scroll through the different types of pipes. You can isolate one type of pipe and work with just it. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, you can see me scrolling through the different types of pipes. That's the energy, the redstone, fluid, which I don't have here, but I do have over there, but watch it disappear, and the item. So that is really, really cool. Instead of having to interact with the whole bundle together, you can isolate the individual pipes. Well, alrighty then. I guess that's the end of this episode. Hope you liked it. Hit like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode, which I'm going to show you some of the gadgets like the obelisks and the enchanter, the lighting system, and things like that. So we'll catch you on the next episode. Adios.